world. Now the rules seem coming.
Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans.
No. Boom! You don't love me, and I know now. Boom! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Monday Night Live with Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Bing, 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 ding, 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 a ding, 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 ding. Yes, people, it's a live show. It's a live show. And guess what? I need to go to bed by 11 o'clock. So you lot will not finish me. You lot will not finish me tonight. I must go to bed by 11 o'clock. So, see it there? I must go to bed by 11 o'clock. So anyone who's trying to get in on the live, make it quick, make it snappy, because I've got things to do, bed to go to, work to get to, all of that. Big up already the 54 of you that are in the live. Yesterday on the live show that we did after the PNG game, 600 plus people were in the live. We only gave you 15 minutes notice and 600 of you turned up for that show. So big up everyone. Big up everyone turned up for that. Big up everyone who's about to turn up for this. Like, share, subscribe. Road to 9K. Like, share, subscribe. You can find us on all the different handles. Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, website, TikTok. Become a patron. Everything. Obviously, now Normally when we do these live shows, I didn't even post, Hold on, people. I didn't even post to tell people that it's live. Do you know what? And the thing is, I wasn't even going to do a live show today because I was like, well, we did a show yesterday, but I don't know. I just thought, you know what? Yesterday's show was me and Santoki talking. This show can be you lot talking. We've got to keep the call-in show going. We got to keep it consistent. This is call-in show number 10. Who would have thought? Who would have thought we'd still be going after 1, much less 10? Where's my link? Where's my link to put this in the live? So I don't really need to give any comments about what are we going to talk about today. It's a World Cup. Surely everybody who's coming on to talk today is just talking about the World Cup. Doesn't mean you have to talk about West Indies. You might want to talk about USA versus Canada. You might want to talk about Namibia versus, who did they play? Oman, South Africa versus Sri Lanka, and of course us versus PNG. I got a telling off earlier today by someone who said that I always focus on the negative and I never do enough positives bigging up the West Indies. So, well done to the West Indies. We've got 2 points. We've got our World Cup off to a great start. We're on the board today. I think later today, obviously Caribbean time. By the time it starts, I'll be well asleep. Afghanistan play Uganda. So let's see how Afghanistan do. They'll obviously expect to beat Uganda. Let's see how comfortable or uncomfortable they are against Uganda, which will give us some indication of what the rest of the group is looking like. But as we said on the live show yesterday, myself and Santoki, a win is a win, I guess. And actually, for those of you who come on the live, that's the main question I'm going to pose to you. Is a win, or are there ways to win? Does it matter if you don't perform well in your first game, as long as you got the W? So in a roundabout way, what I'm saying is, who's still as confident as they were before the tournament started? Who's slightly concerned? Who just thinks, well, that's what I expected? All of that's quite important to me. But I'm so positive West Indies are brilliant. We're going to win the World Cup. Let's go. So the link is in the chat. Those who want to get on, because we're shutting this off. We aren't going longer than 50 minutes. On God, we aren't going longer than 50 minutes today. No way. Okay. I'm not talking much today, you know. I did all that yesterday. Right, Neeks is in first. Let's get Neeks on. Snooze, you lose, people. Whoever wants to come in has to come in. Neeks has got in before everybody else. Everyone else, you're gonna have to queue up. Let's get Neeks straight onto the show. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the video, everything. So far, we've got about 100 of you in the live. By the time Neeks is finished talking, we need to be on 200. Let's go. Yes, Neeks, what are you saying?
What are you saying, Mash? I'm good, man. I'm good. Long time since I've been on one of these.
I was gonna say, you're out here looking like Taurus Riley.
We say put the pot calling the kettle black.
Listen, Neeks. Do you know what? I'm gonna expose you slightly in so much as
all right.
For those of you who don't know, so Neeks is in the Discord group. Obviously, a lot of you who are in the live already in the chat, you're in the Discord group, etc. Neeks said, and Neeks, you can clarify after I've said this. Neeks said his expectation, bare minimum, is West Indies make it out the group. I can't remember, Neeks, if you said they should get to the semi-finals or that's what you think they should be able to do. But obviously, having seen the first game, what are you saying now?
So I said the minimum expectation of West Indies, especially as a home nation, should be, is to get to the Super 8s. So if getting to the Super 8s for me, I wouldn't class that as success. Qualifying out of the group, I don't give everyone a pat on the back and say, well done, Sammy, well done, Rovman. You really rallied the troops and rallied the nation. Job done. See you at the next World Cup. If we get through the group, for me, that's bare minimum. Like, that's your match fee. There's no bonus on top of that. There's no post drinks. There's no party, no nothing. It's bare minimum. Now, if you go into the Super 8s and lose every game, I'm not necessarily saying sack Sammy because you met your bare minimum expectations. But again, there's no bonus, there's no pat on the back. Success for me is getting into the semi-finals, or at least making the Super 8s as a bare minimum competitive. So you play England, you play, I think South Africa might be in our group, and Pakistan. Maybe you win 2 out of the games there, but you lose out on net run rate, or you win one goes deep. That could just make it competitive. And I can say, you know what? There's been clear progression since Sammy's come in. He's met, the remit and the expectation of what we can realistically expect from this group of players and from what he took on. But I'm not patting no one on the back for effectively what you're saying is beating Afghanistan. That's because the getting out of the group effectively is beat one of Afghanistan or New Zealand, and you're out of the group. So what we're giving them punching and Ray and all them bounty for beating PNG and Uganda. I can't do that. We're down horrendous as a cricketing nation, but there still has to be a certain level of standard that you hold them to, whether you expect it or not. For me, is one thing, but you have to hold them to it and say, I know we're playing associate level cricket, but I expect you to beat the associate teams. And if you do it, it's just go to sleep and come back again tomorrow. So that's the way I look at it. And am I any more confident? I don't know if I was confident in the first place. It's just the standards that I set them. So the game against PNG, no, I'm like, there's a strong possibility we ain't going to get out of the group. But I don't mean I'm going to say to them, well, you know what, guys, maybe you're not as good as I thought. If you don't get out of the group, it's what I expect. I'm going to lower my... And these are bare minimum expectations, man. She said, I'm not asking for nothing. Just beat one of Afghan and New Zealand and don't embarrass yourself as a home nation. That's all I'm asking for.
Okay, I hear that. And before I come to the next question, I must just let people know So Frank says Neeks and I are identical.
We're brothers, you know.
I'm not even listen. I was gonna run a joke, but I'll come to the joke. I'll come to the joke later. But listen, Neeks. That notwithstanding, what did you make of the PNG performance? Because there's been a lot of to and froing about that performance. There's some people who want to argue a win is a win is a win. So not too dissimilar to, I mean, we've got the European Championships coming up. If England just beat Serbia or Bosnia or someone today, can't remember, 3-0. If England start poorly in European Championships, but win some down bad game against whoever's in England's group 1-0, people cuss, but a win is a win is a win, right? How far do we extend that to West Indies, or are the people who are critical, are they right to say there's a way to win?
In tournament competition, tournament sport, whether it's football, cricket, or whatever, especially where it's kind of like, even though we got groups, each game, or at least the second game after, is near enough a knockout. So the most important thing is winning. Don't get it twisted. The most important thing is winning in tournament competition, because if you lose, you're probably on the plane home, or for us, over the Burbage Bridge, if it's open. But there is a way to win. And somehow, for West Indies, even when we win, we lose. Like we somehow take all the fun and all the joy out of winning. And I think that's what we got with the PNG. Like, it started off good. And again, it's the bare minimum. So when we had them 37 for free, I'm like, oh, okay, we got them as we. I'm not jumping from my rooftops and blowing horn outside my down my street. I'm like, oh, we got them where we should. But to allow them to get to 137,
36, I think they go.
Yeah, 136. Yeah. For me, it in the end, it was an embarrassing bowling performance to allow them to get that that kind of total. Really, we should have been on their necks, bowled them out for under 100. And to take it that deep and to a point where I'm like, wow, we're actually gonna lose this game. Like, I thought, I thought we were one. I felt we're gonna lose this game, to the point where the next wicket fell any quicker, then obviously it didn't in the end. If it fell in any rapid space of time after Rutherford when I got out, I think that was it. I think our goose was cooked. Like, it was that bad. So for me, yes, the win is the most important thing. But if you take this win as a win and you go to the next game, like right to the nth degree, basically saying nothing else matters, just get the win, then the loss is only around the corner. Because what you're actually refusing to do, is actually analyze the performance. If you can't look at the performance and say, despite the win, A, B, C, and maybe for us, D, E, F didn't go well, then that means going to the next game, there's a high possibility that all those things are going to go wrong again. And maybe the umpire call doesn't go your way, or whatever it might be, and you actually end up on the losing side instead of the winning side. So the teams that win tournaments, whether you win a game or lose a game, you're able to analyze the performance to say, what do we need to do better to make sure that our chances of winning the next game and against tough opposition is higher. If you just settle on a win is a win, then without a shadow of a doubt, the same issues are going to occur in the future games, and you're going to be out of the tournament before you know it. So you have to be able to look outside of the win, which obviously is the main aim, and actually look at the performance. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing, who are then in turn being called negative, which don't make sense.
So I'm just gonna. I really like that part where you say the loss is just around the corner if you don't learn anything from it. I'm just gonna remind a couple people on here. Last year, it's literally this time last year, we played the ODI World Cup qualifiers, and our first game in the ODI World Cup qualifiers, we played United States, and in that game, some people may have forgotten this. In that game, we batted first and made 297. USA, we won by 39 runs, but USA made 258 for 7 in their 50 overs. They batted out the whole 50 overs. And the only reason I bring that up, Neeks, is I remembered watching that game thinking, okay, we've started with a win. Like we're trying to navigate our way into the World Cup. We started with a win, but it was never convincing, right? We then went to the Nepal game next in the World Cup qualifiers. That was more convincing. We won by 101 runs, but again, Nepal essentially nearly batted out the 50 overs, bowled out with 2 balls to spare. But we won by 101. But again, there was elements of it where it's like, this doesn't look overly convincing. When we got to Netherlands in the 3rd game, well, we all know what happened. In fact, no, sorry, what am I talking about? The next game was Zimbabwe. What am I talking about? It wasn't even Netherlands. Next game was Zimbabwe, and they defeated us by 35 runs. Now we're panicking. Next game after that, Netherlands must win. They chased down 374 and win in a super over. So when Neeks is making this point, or even I'm making this point, none of this is to say West Indies are bad and West Indies can't get out of this group and go on to do well.
Or improve in the future games.
Yeah, it's more to say how you win is important in terms of, I think, the message it sends in the changing room
100%.
about, you know what, we feel unbeatable. You see all that good vibes that everyone was saying after beating South Africa 3-0, whatever the state of that South Africa team, beating the Australians and their coaching team, beating England, beating India, whatever the state of those teams, right? Everyone's been talking, but we're beating everyone, we're beating everyone, we're beating everyone. You see all those good vibes? After nearly losing to PNG, I will really see now what the mentality is like in that changing room. Because up till now, there must have been a sense of, okay, we can really stick it on people. We get to our first competitive game where it's win or go home cricket, and we were found wanting, for me, this is my take, on a mentality level.
Yeah. What we'll say when it comes to tournament competition sport, and I think you kind of you alluded to it in your live review in terms of like Argentina example, you get that loss out of the way early, and it's not just about getting the loss out of the way, but it's more you get that early reality check. Thankfully, we got the win, but we have to take stock and say, if we thought we were unbeatable, we were the best, no one can touch us, that game should bring us back down to earth and realize, as you said, if we are not on top of every aspect of our game at 100%, any team can cause us problems and or beat us. So hopefully it's good to get that early as well as the win at the same time, and you will hopefully see a improved performance, improved energy from start to finish in the preceding games. Whether we win, lose, or I say draw, there's no really draws over here, but everything's super over. But whether you win or lose, you can see in the level of performance whether you're playing to your optimum. And I think that's all we're asking. Play to your optimum from start to finish. There's no spell that we're not good enough to drop our level and still win convincingly. And it's such this format of the game, which is so short, it only takes a couple of overs to change a game either way. So you have to be on it 100%. I want to say, to be fair, because the main reason I actually called was to do with our lineup.
Okay. You've been talking about this in the Discord.
Yeah.
Go on.
And it's something something I've spoken about before, just in terms of West Indies in general, especially in limited overs. We've done this thing in the past. I remember that the likes of even 2004, we won the ICC Champions Trophy, where we just packed the side with batting, bat deep, 7, 8, 9, 10, and Ian Bradshaw holding up the bowling. And we used to we have 2 bowlers, and then Dwayne Smith, Darren Sammy, all these, and Darren Brothers are great. Dwayne Brothers are a very good bowler. But all these little medium pacers, dibbly dobblers, put it on the length and hope for the best, knowing they're going to get carted left, right, and center. But because we bat to 8, 9, 10, we can go big at the end. And we know our ODI record and our limit overs record ain't been great anyway. And I know we've won 2 World Cups. So that aside, I think the balance of our team, it needs to be looked at. And that maybe, I don't know if it's a bit too late, because now we're going to a tournament where in a run-up we've been playing this balance where effectively we got 3 bowlers. So yesterday it was Alzari, Moti, and Akil, and then we got 3 all-rounders. We got Shepherd, Russell, and Chase. 3 all-rounders. We know that Russell, as good as Dre is, he's a 1 in 3 with the ball. We saw that when we played England in the series in December, where one game he's getting carted all over the place at the back end, losing the game for us, and the next game he might win it with the ball. We know what he can do with the bat as well. But for me, the crux of my issue is that I think we're just a bowler light, and I don't mean someone who can turn their arm over. Because I know you've spoken about before. We need to get Chase in the side for the extra bowler. 100% agree. But I actually think we are a specialist bowler light. I was looking at England against Pakistan in their warm up. Looked at South Africa today. England played Archer, Wood, Jordan, Rashid. So that's 4.
Yeah.
And I want to say Topley as well, if I'm correct. I can't remember exactly. Maybe not Topley. But they definitely had 4 bowlers. And then, I think it was them 4. Then they had Moeen and Livingstone and all that. But they had 4 bowlers who you're saying, I'm going to get 16 overs out of you. And the other 4 overs, if I get 2 from Moeen, or you might want to switch it out, but you get 2 from Moeen, 2 from Livingstone, or maybe Moeen bowls out and maybe you hold back 1 from Jordan, whatever it might be. But the responsibility of bowling 16 overs, we need to put that, for me, on 4 bowlers. When you got Shepherd, he might give you 1 up top and the next one gets cluttered, and you bring him back right at the end and he gets hit out of the ground. Russell, the same thing. I think it's just too much reliance on effectively all-rounders to bowl too many overs, 8 overs. So for me, in terms of the makeup of our team going forward, if we take the 11 that we had today in the last game and say, let's say that's our best 11. I'm taking Romario Shepherd out.
Okay.
And bringing in, I would say, Obed McCoy.
Right. Okay. So let me land now to respond to you, because obviously, so Z says Neeks knows his sport. Listen, Neeks has been out here for time, people. This ain't nothing. If you don't know about Neeks has been online for time. But Neeks, South Africa played Sri Lanka today, and this proves your point further. South Africa had 4 frontline bowlers in their side, not all rounders, frontline. Bartman, Nortje, Rabada, Maharaj. So that's proving the point that you're making. That's 16 overs already. And
I would argue Jansen gets in the side as a bowler.
Yeah, so Jansen was in the team. I'm not even counting Jansen.
Okay.
Now, I could count Jansen because, in fairness, Jansen is an actual proper bowling all-rounder. He's not like Russell or Shepherd, where we know they can maximize the ball out of the ground. Jansen is a bowling all-rounder who can bat somewhat, right? So arguably, South Africa, and then there's AD Markram if they need to do a little bits and pieces, right? So if I'm understanding your point correctly, Neeks, what you're effectively saying is we've gone with 3 bowlers where we're saying we've got 12, and then we're praying that Dre, Romario, and Roston can just do something to make up the remaining overs. And that, if we're even being more critical, we almost have to throw Alzari in there and say that we're praying that Alzari's doing something.
Well, but this is it. We already know our bowling is weak. So why are we weakening our weakest part of our game by giving ourselves either less options and also less like specialist options in that field? Because the way I look at it, people say, well, we want to bat deep, we have Romario. PNG pushed us all the way. Romario didn't bat. There may be a game where you're like, oh, good thing we had Romario. But if you're going into a tournament, if you're planning on winning, I don't know what our plans are, I don't know what Sammy said, but if we're actually planning on winning it or giving the best of ourselves, for me, it's a negative mentality. It's a loser mentality to say we're going to need Romario to win us this game. You're going in there expecting to be 6, 7 down, needing 30 from 15 to win the game. Bowlers win games. I don't care what format it is. Bowlers win games. If we bowled out PNG for 100, like we should have, then we don't need Romario coming in at number 8 or wherever he's coming in at. The mentality needs to be restrict the opposition, whether you're batting first, bowling, or bowling first. Restrict the opposition's runs and make it easier for the batsman. When you got Rutherford, Rovman, Dre, Poran, you've got 4 or maybe 5, I can't remember counting. Big hitters. These men hit 6s. Like, why we rely, and then Akil and Moti can still hit the ball. How much deliveries are you actually asking or expecting of Romario? And if you're actually saying, we maybe get six deliveries at the back end, which can be maximized, of course, is that better than having Obed McCoy who can restrict the runs at the back end, that you don't need this match-winning knock from Romario on a game-by-game basis? So for me, I think we need to go in with 4 bowlers. So whether you want to do 2 spinners in Moti and Akil with Obed and Azari, or you want to say, well, we only need 1 specialist spinner to go along with Chase, and you play Obed, Azari, and Shamar. That's up to us. But for me, we're just a bowler light, and we're all rounder too heavy.
Z says, Mash, you've been very negative on the win. A win is a win, my guy. If West Indies didn't win, we would have been out here cursing. I've been positive on this show so far. I didn't even said nothing. Hold on, if Neeks has been talking, that's Neeks. That weren't me. But listen, Neeks, listen. You've taken too long to come on the show. So I'm mindful. Obviously, you and I can just chop this up for a long time. But I've looked in the backstage, Neeks, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 people reckoning they're coming on the show before I need to go to my bed. So, Neeks, thank you so much.
Let me just say one thing quickly.
Yeah, one more.
All the people that are saying that you're too negative or whoever's too negative, definitely not Santoki. Santoki is very positive. But anyone that say anyone's too negative, if we end up losing a game that we needed to win to qualify for whatever round it might be, whether it be the Super 8s or the semi-finals, don't come with the same arguments and analysis that we're giving now. Because if it's a case of we didn't bowl out the opposition when we should have, and when we had our foot on their necks, or we threw away wickets and we didn't keep the run rate going in the between 7 and 11 overs, it's the same arguments we're putting now in the context of a win. So if those same things occur in a loss, you just have to say, well, you know what? A loss is a loss. You take it as they come. Like, they can't. Which one is it? You can't analyze a loss and not analyze a win. You have to be consistent across the board.
Listen, that's the word, Neeks, consistency. That's the one thing no one can ever not. You can never criticize me, people. I'll always be consistent in what I'm saying. Listen, Neeks, I'm going to let the next guest come on, but thank you for coming on, man.
Bless. Much
appreciated. Yes, people. Yeah, do you know what? I told myself before today's show, I said to myself, don't address the negativity thing, because Santoki's always said to me, Mash, you know that CCP has really grown when people start calling us, like, he's like, the minute you start getting people hating on you for what you're saying, that's when you know that your profile is actually out there. And I got into it today with somebody I respect, actually. And I said to them, listen, CCP, since day one, we will always call it exactly as we see it. And I just want to make this clear to people. I'm not employed by a TV company. I'm not sponsored. Sorry, not I. We're not sponsored by anybody. We're not on a radio station trying to make sure that we suit the kind of radio mantra. I just call it as I see it. That's all I do. I call it as I see it. And do you know why I always think that people don't get it when they say negative? This is the same. I'm the same guy who flew out to the Netherlands to go rally round the team. I flew to Netherlands to rally round the side. I'm flying to Trinidad in 2 months to go rally round the side in the test series against South Africa. Everyone's going World Cup. I'm going to Trinidad for a test match. I told you lot the story. The people in the Discord know it. When we played Australia, the test match that we won, I don't know how many. Have I told this story live? I was on a date. I was on a date with a girl, and I made up an excuse so I could run home and go watch the West Indies play Australia, and go watch the test match. I ran from her, man. I ran for her for these guys. I ran from a date for these guys. Listen, I will drop kick anybody for West Indies. Anyways, people, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. You lot don't even want to know about that story. Did I get another date? No, I didn't. She dumped me still. She dumped me. She said I didn't give her, what did she say? She said that I didn't give her the impression that I was a guy who would stay committed in a relationship. And in my head, I was thinking, yeah, that's because I love West Indies out here. That's where my commitment is, and Bromley as well, actually. Anyways, let's move. Josh is up. Not Josh De Silva. Josh. Yes, Josh. Let's bring you on. Yes, Josh. What are you saying?
I look like I'm around the wicket, you know, Machel. You want to bowl some spin to me? Let's bowl on leg, man. Let's bowl on leg. Keep it on the leg now, man. Keep it on the leg now. Here we go.
What are you saying, Josh?
First of all, how are you doing, Machel? Everything good?
I'm good. You know, I was tempted not to do a live show today because obviously Santoki and I did the live reaction show after the game yesterday, but
yeah.
I just wanted, you know, I think it's important that these Monday nights, I've always said it's the fan call-in show, so I just wanted to keep it consistent, you know?
Yes, I agree. Let me just get into it, Mash, because I know you did say you're aiming for 11 o'clock, which I'm sorry you won't make, you know? People, I want to say this, right? Mash is not being negative. There's something I have to say. I'm good at sensing and getting a sense of emotions and feeling and just a sense of environment. And there's something I'm very worried about with this West Indies team. A sense of arrogance and cockiness and entitlement. Like, I love the guys, you know, I follow the West Indies. I love the confidence. I am naturally a very outright confident person. No matter what it is, gym or girls or anything, just or socially, just very confident. But it's a difference between being confident and being very arrogant and entitled, you know? And yesterday, I even heard the commentators saying the feeling feels too relaxed. Even Barry Wilkinson on the West Indies YouTube thing, and then on the TV, I was listening to the two of them at the same time. So kind of, right? And they were saying the feeling looks too relaxed, too comfortable. They're not going for the jugular, right? I think there was a point where PNG was, I think there was 54 for 6. Or maybe it was 54 for 4, 54 for 6. And it was like the 13th or 14th over. And I'm like, you know, we can get these men down for at least 100 and maybe anywhere between 90 and 110.
Yeah.
And then I'm listening to the commentary and they're like, yeah, they have them on the neck, and then here comes Andrew Mason. The feeding looks too comfortable. They're diving around, but they're not looking aggressive. They're giving away sloppy second runs and stuff like that. It's like they're on the beach before the tournament even starts. And I'm thinking,
go on, Karen.
Yeah, and then I listen to Rob now, and I'm like, how can you tell us you're 70% there? Bro, you're meant to be 80, 90, much less 100%. Like, what's that all about? You see where I'm going?
Yeah, no, so my theory is that we started, I need to go and watch the match back again, possibly. But from what I remember watching, I think we actually started with the right intensity. We started like, we're here to make a statement. We're here to show everyone that West Indies mean business. And that's why in the power play, Papua New Guinea looked like, oh my God, we're out of our depth. They actually legitimately looked like they were out of their depth.
Well, I think there was 34 for 3 after.
Yeah, 34 for 3, right? And then I can't remember the point. I think the turning point was at the 10th or the 9th over, but there was a point where we just took our foot off the accelerator, and it just, I think I said this last night, it felt like we were just expecting it to happen rather than sometimes in cricket. And I'm no professional cricketer, so I'm sure, I think we've got a professional cricketer in the chat, so they can tell me. But sometimes the way you fling yourself around the field just it almost breeds a kind of confidence within the side of we can make something happen. We're still in this game. Every single run matters. Every single run counts, and even that can put pressure on a side because they're like, boy, we can't even turn the ones into twos. We can't turn the twos into threes. These men are hustling down everything.
That's exactly how we got the run out at the end. I think it was the last wicket of the wicket before. You know what I mean? But even the catch that Ruston Chase took, I think that was if that wasn't the first wicket, it must have been the second wicket. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, these guys are bouncing, they're stepping well, and it's like, wow. And it's like, and then there was the over. I think it was Gudakesh Moti or Chase's over that went for like 13 or 14. And I'm like, what is going? And then here's my next point. Mash, you know, like how you go on top, you go off on I know we're in the work, but you know how you used to bash Hetmaya and all of that, right? That's me and Arzari. There's something about Azar that has never struck me with, oh, you're the guy or you're anything. He doesn't, like, there's something about him that just doesn't strike me as confident or top or even good enough, you know? I don't know if it's because he's burnt out or it's because I just don't think he's good. He's actually that good that people make him out to be. I've never had any sight of confidence of him. And if I were to change the team, I would actually drop him. I know this is gonna shock you. I would actually do two things. I'd drop him for Obed McCoy, and I would I'd bring, and I know you may not disagree with it. I would even drop maybe Rutherford or Shepard for thing there. What's his name again? Shamar, right? Because, and I know Shamar is new, and people say, "Oh, you've been a hypocrite. You're replacing a senior guy with a new guy." But I'm really replacing Azari with Obed, because with Obed at least I know what I'm getting with him. With Azari, I really don't know what I'm getting from him. You understand?
Yes. So I'm gonna defend Alzari ever so slightly, in so much as he is in the team on merit, right? I'm going to give two different sides to the coin here. He's in the team on merit in so much as in 2023, just reading out his stats, Alzari played 9 matches, T20 matches, sorry, took 16 wickets at 21 apiece. Now, the economy was a bit too high for me, 10.3, but he did lead from the front in T20 cricket for the West Indies. So I feel like his place is there on merit.
Right. Okay.
That's me defending him. My critique of Alzari, which is I think a critique that a lot of us have had for a while, is that Alzari plays every single format for the West Indies. And I've lost count of the amount of West Indian fans that have said he needs a rest. Now, this is a World Cup. Of course, he's not getting a rest in a World Cup. But we haven't managed Alzari's workload very well for a long time. And
I'm worried about Shamar regarding that. I hope they don't burn him out. But no matter how you defend him, Mash, you know my problem is, Mash, you see, I come from Brandon King and a couple other guys that I used to grow up playing cricket with, right? We come from a coach. His name is Dennis Miller. He used to teach us, right? And he focused a lot on reading the game. He taught us a lot about reading the game, analyzing the game live and in action, and trained us how to read batsmen and read bowlers and outsmart them. My problem with a lot of our bowlers, especially Azari, is I feel like some of them bowl for bowling sake and hoping we get a wicket. doesn't seem like a plan with their bowling. Some of them, especially Arzar. I'm sorry, I'm going hard on him, but he, especially when it comes to white ball cricket, this doesn't feel like a plan. You saw it in the last over. Ratnam set a specific field for him, and then he goes and bowl 2 loose balls. Like, you know you're supposed to step on their neck, and you decide to bowl 2 loose balls and give away 8 runs unnecessarily. Like, it's things like that annoys me. Even with Puran, I love Puran. He's my favorite. One of Puran and Gudakesh are my 2 favorite players in the team right now. And even with Puran, you can see that he's seeing the ball. He's playing good shot. But then I'm like, Puran, you already know you're in it. So now you need to stay in it. Stop throwing it away. And it's things like that that upsets me. Those little small things. I come from a training where we focus a lot on studying and reading the game. And I don't think a lot of our players are technically sound in the mind, spending a lot of time reading the game. I think a lot of them playing hoping that things happen, especially on the bowling side. You understand what I'm saying?
So I'm gonna listen. Puram,
I know I sound harsh. I know.
Yeah, hold on a minute. Yeah, wait a minute. Wait, you're the negative one. No, but no. On a serious note, I think with Puram, I always say with Puram that because we know what he can do, and he's probably our most consistent batter at doing it.
I agree.
We just have to allow him when he does what he does, right? So Puran, as I understand it, he has full faith in his ability that he can essentially destroy any bowler in world cricket.
Which I like.
When he gets in the groove and he's like, right, I'm taking you out. He decides, right, that bowler there, I'm just licking you out the ground. I've decided I'm taking you on, and I'm taking you out. And I don't know what let's just say argument's sake, 7 times out of 10, when Nicholas does that, it's coming off. And because it's 7 times out of 10, you just have to allow it because that's more than it comes off for anybody else in the team.
I agree. I would even say Brandon King is like that. He's starting to get in that Bill King, where he's starting to step into that. I know how I play my game, you know. But even with Puran, just like yesterday, bro, you are on a pitch that is doing some work. Like, you know you can't slap every single ball. So here what? You know you have the capacity to stay in and then clean off at the end. Why try and just throw it away when you know you can stay in? It's things like that, you know, much. I know my standard is very high, especially for someone like Puran. But read the game, like read it. You knew the first 6 balls you couldn't even hit the ball. But you almost got out LBW on your first ball too. So that should be in your head like, all right, here's what. I need to stay in. I can't score my runs. Let me actually wait because these men will give me some bad balls. You understand? And it's things like that. Anyway, much I know I have some more points I want to talk on, but I know you have some other callers. But I'm going to tackle one last thing. Meek, on his last statement, I agree with him when it comes to the bowling. I do agree. We can drop. I wouldn't drop Russell. I'd probably drop Shepherd. Because at least I know with Russell, I know what I actually am going to get. With Shepherd, is a little bit hit and miss. You know what I mean? And I will play the extra bowler.
Well, you know what? Listen, Santoki and I are gonna do something about looking at the side for the next game. I suspect. I mean, it's in Guyana, so I suspect the side possibly will stay the same, but we shall see.
I actually think I wouldn't be surprised either. Or Shamar plays one game in Guyana. Listen, this is Sammy. Sammy has a sentimental vibe about him. I wouldn't be surprised if Shamar plays the next game. And I actually wouldn't be surprised if Shea Hook comes in for the next game. That's just my opinion. So, anyway, Mash, I know you have some other callers to take in. I don't want to,
Yeah, no worries, Josh. Listen, how many people in the... I can see enough people in the chat. There's someone called Shimron Hetmeyer in the chat. There's a Josh De Silva in the chat. I don't know what's going on today, but listen, Josh, I'm going to move on to the next caller.
Hey, man, you go ahead, man. You take care.
Yeah, no worries. Cool. Now, obviously, I have to assume that the Shimron Hetmeyer in the chat is not the real Shimron Hetmeyer. It should, but I know I know it's really Josh, but it surely can't be Shimron. Is this like, is the Shimron Hetmeyer one of them like men who like sit behind computers and like creates profiles of real people that aren't them. Like who? Shimron, what are you saying? Is it you, Shimron, or is it someone else? Imagine if it's Shimron. Shimron, no, don't. If it is Shimron, though, as on a serious one, if it is Shimron and it's actually, if it's actually Hetty, you don't want to come on the show, surely not, because allow me, innit? Allow me, please, allow me, I beg. Right, we got next caller. No, genuinely, if it's actually Shimron, though, I'm going to put the thing is, this is a madness. If it's actually Shimron, I'm going to put the link in the chat. And anyone who's waiting, if it actually is Shimron, because it could legitimately be, CCP's out here, you know. If it's actually Shimron, I'm going to wait to see who comes on backstage. And if it's legitimately Hetty and he legitimately wants to come on the show, I'll let him on. But Hetty, as a PR advisor, if it is you, I strongly advise you do not come on the show. I strongly advise you don't do it. Make sure you clear this with CWI and all of that, if it genuinely is you. Anyways, in the meantime, right. Let's go. Let's go to the next caller. RKO. Oh no. Oh no. Is RKO gonna be? Oh my god. Right, people. It's 11:03. It's 11:03, and I said I wanted to go to bed by 11 o'clock, but there's about 8 people in the call. Sumit says, by the way, not sure, Mash, if you even realized it was Josh who asked if you had. No. After I ran home for the Australia, so it was the innings where Josh, and I think, was it Josh and Kavem? It was the innings where they put on that partnership. I think Josh scored 79. What did Josh score? I think Josh scored like 79. And I think Kavem scored 70. Maybe it was that innings. And I ran away from the girl. I was like, nah, I was like, nah, Josh and Kavem are cooking something. I'm running home to go watch this. And then obviously, and do you know what? And I'm not just saying it because Josh is in the chat. Obviously, Shamar did what Shamar did, but I always say that people forget. I always say that people forget that Josh and Kavem scored big, relatively speaking, in the context of that match, and that's what actually kept us in the match. Obviously, Shamar then bowled us to victory, but if they hadn't hit them 70s in that first innings, we wouldn't have even been in the game to begin with. So, anyways, that's another chat for another day. You have to respect those knocks, you know. Anyways, there were some comments I wanted to bring up. Rising Bowler says, man's going to Ireland to watch the academy. Yeah, so I think I will be. I don't know if anyone else in this chat is going to Ireland. I'm going to clear it at work tomorrow, but there's a strong likelihood that I'll be in Ireland. Which match is it? Sorry, people, I'm just checking my diary. There's a strong likelihood. Shit. Hold on, have I made this up? One sec, people. Second. Yeah, there's a strong likelihood that I'll be in Ireland for day 2 and 3 of the emerging Ireland team versus West Indies A. But Ireland, I don't know if anyone saw that press release from the Ireland Cricket Board. They've said that if they get knocked out of the World Cup, that game won't be emerging Ireland versus the Academy. It'll be Ireland versus Academy, and it'll be the actual Ireland quote-unquote test side versus the West Indies Academy, which will be pretty cool. So the plan is to get over to Ireland for the 3rd day or the second day of that particular game. So big up anyone who's going across to Ireland for that. That should be cool. And big up Daniel. Where is it? Big up Daniel for the super chat. He says, great to see Nicky P taking time to speak to the fans. When was that? Was that after the game was that after the PNG game? I'm not sure what that's in reference to, but yeah, big up the super chat though, Daniel. Thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. Right, let's keep going. Sachin says, was it a fake Hetty? I don't know, you know. Don't be surprised if that was Hetmar, you know. Don't be surprised. I'll have to find out, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was. CCP's out here, you know. Right, okay. Oh, Daniel, I just realized that oh my god. Is Josh still on? Josh, the fans are saying you look like Nicholas Puran. What are you saying, Josh? I look like Neats and you look like Nicholas Puran. Anyways, let's bring on RKO. If this is the wrestling guy, oh my god, let's see what he's gonna say. RKO, what are you saying?
Hey, Mash, what's up, bro?
Oh my god. Yeah, what you saying, my guy? What you saying?
Listen, I almost had to bring out the Dark Undertaker version because remember what you said. If we lost to Papua New Guinea, you would delete Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I was watching the game and pulling out my hair literally, saying, my Monday night's gig is finished, man.
Right, listen. CCP is undefeated, you know. I don't think there is any show in the Caribbean that moves like this, you know. I don't know what's going on. Listen, we got past PNG, but listen, there's so many there's so many people in the background that want to come on. So listen, let's just get straight into the cricket chat.
I have 3 things to speak about today. I'm going to be brief. Papua New Guinea spinners made us look like shite.
Oh,
Imagine when we reached to New Zealand and Afghanistan.
I mean, a friend of mine said that what they were doing, and I agree with him. I think the most disappointing thing, don't get me wrong, we have to accept that the Guyana track was low and slow, but what was most disappointing about the spinners is that they weren't, to me, they were just putting it on a length and waiting they were bowling wicket to wicket just on a length, and I guess forcing us to try and force the pace, so to speak. And we struggled with that. That's what the most disappointing thing was. I still maintain that what we should have been doing, which I don't think we did enough of until Dre came in, was just working the ball into gaps. Yeah.
So my second point is, I know I'm going to get cursed for this, but I'm making one change and one change only to the team for Sunday. I'm dropping Johnson Charles. I'm bringing in Shea Hope to open. Let him anchor the top in the power play, and Brandon can go haywire.
I'm not anti that move, you know. I'm not anti that. I don't think it'll happen, but I'm not anti it because I was always of the opinion that Shea should play at Providence because of his record at Providence. I just assumed that they'd take that into account, and I assumed they'd take into account that Shea's somebody you can bat around. Obviously, they went with Roston, and Roston performed, but I've been told by associate people who know Ugandan cricket have told me that that we should expect that Uganda will go in with a minimum of 3 spinners against West Indies. If that's the case, then there's possibly an argument to say that yes, you could remove Johnson for Shea Hope and Shea to open. I guess I'll put the question back to you. Do you think Sammy would do that after one game?
I don't think he would, but he needs to go to Kahunas to do it.
It's certainly interesting. I think I did a video where I think it was the video before the game where I said, is there an argument to have Shea and Roston in the same side? Well, the only way you can do it is by having Shea open. But I don't know. We'll see. Anywho, your third point. Let's move.
My third point. All hail Desmond Haynes and his selection of Roston Chase. It finally paid off when we needed it the most. If it wasn't for Roston Chase, I don't know if we would have made that game to the final over or win the game much less.
Do you know what? Yeah, I mean, Thanos Thanos is is an oft maligned cricketer, but I mean, I'm not going to try and pretend that I haven't been critical of Thanos in the past. My critique of Thanos in the past was when he was in the Test team, and I kept saying that he was overdue a drop in the West Indies Test side. But I don't think there's any argument that people can have about Roston's involvement in the white ball sides. Like he offers a skill set that there's nobody else in the West Indies setup that offers Roston's skill set of both being able to be someone you can bat around, provide off-spin bowling, and I guess manipulate the strike when needs be. So yeah, I mean, if we're going to give credit to Desmond Haynes, you must give credit to Desmond Haynes for persisting with him, because there was certainly a lot of people in the Caribbean who need to eat some humble pie around Roston Chase, because he was catching enough pelters prior to being included. Enough people were trying to argue he shouldn't be there and this, that. So yeah, I hear that argument.
So I want to say thank you, but before I leave, you just said something about humble pie. If humble pie and pride and civic pride that governs people, right? If that does not humble them after that performance they did versus Papua New Guinea, they're going to fall out. They need to come off the big high horses and play with common sense. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Randy. Let's see how they do against Uganda.
I ain't looking forward to that.
I wait to see who you bring next week into the live show. But you know what? Let's move on to the next caller.
No
worries. Right, people. So how many people got left? 1, 2. Oh my gosh. Vanetta, you're on next. Let's keep it moving, people. Vanetta's the next caller. Let's bring her on. By the way, people, let me not even put this. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Patreon, everything. Like, share, subscribe, all of that. Where are we? Vanetta. Let's bring Vanetta on. Yes, Vanetta, how you doing?
I'm good, Mash. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
I got a suggestion for you. You got to date women who are into cricket. Y'all want to be making excuses against Matty to go back and see the game.
Well, listen. I'm in I'm going to Trinidad in a month and a half's time. So maybe I'll put out an advert. I'll put an advert out in the Trinidad Express. I'll put an advert out saying CCP is coming on tour.
I wish you all the best with that. And I just got to make a point about the whole, you guys, well, specifically you're negative about West Indies cricket, yada, yada, yada. I will say this. I've probably been looking cricket long enough to be straddling the tail end of when we were it and where we are now. I mean, I remember in primary school, the only time I can not do my homework right after school was when I could sleep, get my father to wake me up, so I'll do homework while looking at Play Australia. So, and I think some people are still living in that realm, and it's just not the realm we're in right now. Being realistic about where we are does not mean we're being negative about West Indies cricket. I mean, you're still waking up at ungodly hours to see the game, and you're still crossing your fingers because West Indies keep heart surgeons very busy in the Caribbean. A friend of mine yesterday said, oh yes, this should be an easy match. And I'm like, I've been looking West Indies long enough. You don't say things like that.
Did you think at any point that we were going to lose that game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe about the 16, 17 over. I'm like, okay, well, all righty then. I mean, there wasn't really much to say at that point. As you said, we started off really well. First 10 overs, I'm like, we might be able to get them out for around 100, make these runs within 15 overs, get a good net run rate. By 16, 17 over, I was like, all right, so we're just going for the win right now.
Yeah. I think there was when Rutherford got out, there was a moment where I said to myself, I remember just kind of quietly saying to myself, please don't lose. Please, please don't lose. because in my head I was like, I don't even know how I could begin to process and cope with them losing if they actually lost the game to PNG. So if anyone ever wants to know if I'm like begging West Indies to win matches, this was one of those games where I was begging them to please not lose the match. Please don't inflict that on my soul. So
it's just. I mean, because we keep saying it's West Indies because that's the only way you keep saying. But there's got to be a point where you're like, come on. We can't be accepting it. And then they complain about, oh, the stadium wasn't full. Yes, I agree with that. It should have been fuller. But I mean, based on the time, like, nobody goes to cricket at 10:30 in Guyana.
Nobody. And do you know what I should add? Do you know what I should add as well? No sport, primetime sport, starts at 10:30 in the morning. So don't get me wrong. I get why some people wanted to be critical of the turnout in Guyana, but you put any match at 10:30 in the morning in any sport, who's coming on a Sunday?
On a Sunday,
that don't make any sense. It don't
people gotta go pray for West Indies to win.
Do you know what? I thought there was some critique of the Guyanese turnout, and I was like, no, that's a bit over the top. Don't try and pretend that you could put 10:30 game on anywhere else and expect there to be full stage. Okay, maybe India, but don't expect to tell me that you can get full stadium at 10:30 on a Sunday for cricket. And actually, the crowd got bigger as the match went on, so it wasn't like it was completely empty for the whole match or anything like that. Listen, Vanessa, I do want to ask you one thing though before you go. Which part of the states are you in again?
Maryland.
Right. Genuinely, do you think anyone in the States cares about this World Cup taking place in America?
Honestly, probably not. You're gonna get the transplants like me and Indians and some Australians. And I say some Australians because I got real excited when I came here and there was like an Australian guy. I'm like, oh, somebody to talk cricket with. And apparently Australian scientists don't care about cricket.
Okay.
But in Maryland per se, no. I've got a couple of friends in New York who are American who are planning to go to a match. But we're talking like 4 people. But all in all, it's just not big enough here. I don't think they advertise it enough here. Like, I don't know how much marketing they did. Maybe outside of like New York and Texas where they're playing, and Florida. But to the rest of the country, I don't think it was really marketed.
I hear you.
But I got one question for you. That we're going to call the display yesterday. Do you think it was complacency? Uncle Phil giving us a finger, otherwise known as doing his job for his new team? Or West Indies batsmen just somehow not being able to adapt to a pitch that's not a straight up road where you just fling your bat and it goes for 6?
So I think it's a combination of lots of different factors. I think not a lot has been written or said yet about the fact that Phil Simmons is involved with PNG. Phil was our most recent coach before Darren Sammy and Andre Coley. I refuse to believe that Phil wouldn't have said to the PNG players, just loop the ball up on 4th stump. Just loop it up there. They'll get bogged down. I refuse to believe Phil didn't have some kind of impact on that, because respectfully, as West Indian fans, we've all seen West Indian batters struggle and get bogged down by what looks like innocuous spin. And when I say struggle, I mean just in terms of rotating the strike. I don't mean hitting out. I mean rotating the strike. So I think Phil definitely had an impact on tactics. I think that if we go back and look at our performances versus South Africa, the performances versus England at Christmas, South Africa away last year, even Australia when we lost 2-1. a lot of those games that we played were big hitting games. Somebody will correct me, but if I remember off the top of my head, a lot of those matches were 200 plus scores, 190 plus scores, which suits us, right? Games where we can fling back, hit sixes, and be the big hit inside that we are. This is probably the first pitch they've played on in a long while where it's just kept low. It's slowed down. It's been tacky. And some of them were found wanting, which is why I'm assuming we're going to be much better against Uganda, but don't be surprised. And it's a night game, so it might play differently as well. But don't be surprised if the 3 spinners or 4 spinners that Uganda play, don't be surprised if we look like we're struggling as well versus their spinners. We'll win. We will win. So everyone, we will beat Uganda. That game is going out. We will beat Uganda. We are not losing to Uganda. But don't be surprised if we experience some problems against their slow bowling as well. I just think it's our kryptonite. We struggle with it.
But the problem with that is having it so obvious, especially on the first game of a tournament like this, just tells everybody how to bowl to us now.
Well, boy. we best just find a way, you know. We best just find a way. But listen, Vanetta, we could keep going, and I know you're.
Yep, nope. I know you've got to go to bed.
I know you're generally a regular on here, so we can keep talking. But I'm just mindful that I need to keep getting through the rest of the callers.
No problem. Hope you get to bed soon.
All right, take care, Vanessa. Thank you. Bye. There was a comment I wanted to put up on the screen. So I know there's Trinis in this chat, so I want the Trinis to answer this for me. So Tyron Flores says you can get a full oval. I presume he's talking about Queen's Park, 8:30 in the morning in Trinidad if you want. Don't act as though you don't know. So Trini's in the chat. If West Indies played at 8:30 in the morning on a Sunday, would Queen's Park Oval be full? I'm saying nonsense. 8:30 in the morning on a Sunday. Come on, don't. Come on, man. I know Guyanese and Trini love to go after each other, but come on. Let's be serious now. 8:30 in the morning. Who's coming out of their bed at 8:30 on a Sunday? Come on, stop lying now. Stop it. Tell the truth. So, right. Let's keep it moving. Okay, we're saying that. Do you know what though? Some Bayesian said to me that if a game was played at Kensington Oval at 10:30 on a Sunday, they would have filled out Kensington Oval for the West Indies. I think that's a lie as well. I think that's a lie. I don't think there's any ground in the Caribbean where you would fill out a game for the West Indies at 10:30 in the morning in 2024 at 10:30 in the morning. And actually, do you know the only place I think you could do it? Maybe people are going to cuss when I say this. Maybe Dominica or St. Vincent or one of the smaller islands, because they don't get cricket as often as all the rest of them do. And even then, I'm saying no, because I swear people are in church. And cooking up pot. So even then, that's a lie. Pig pen have to clean, yard have to mop. What are you lot talking about? This is nonsense. No, I'm not having it. No. Not having it. Anyways, that's another discussion for another day. Let's keep it moving. Right, let's keep it moving. Sachin's next. Oh no. Sachin's gonna say something reckless, you know. Oh my god. Let's go. Sachin, what is that?
It's time to dig up all cricket field in the Caribbean and plant cassava and ganja.
They wanted negativity, right?
Oh god. Here we go. Listen, I'm gonna have to play positive. I'm gonna have to play positive. But go on, hit me with it.
No, I'm not here to be negative, but I'll keep it real for a second. Did we lose that? Did we win that game versus PNG, or did PNG give us that win? Because if you look at it, right, Mash, PNG didn't grab the opportunities we gave to them to win that game. There was 2 misfields that went for 4. There was the poor in review. If PNG had taken those, would we have won that game?
So I did send a message to Medvis earlier today and said if we had come out after the rain break and we were 8 for 2 and Puran was out, based on what happened, now obviously it's all, like I say, it's all hindsight, but based on how the game played out, I could have foreseen a situation where, so Rough Cut says you're talking shit, but I could have foreseen a situation where we would have fumbled the bag. What I would say as well is, I don't know which over it was. I think it was the 18th over. The spinner bowled an over and went for 18 runs. At that point in the game, the match was actually still in the balance, you know. I think people have forgotten this. Everyone, like, there's a few people have been trying to say, yeah, we won with 1 over to go. It was comfortable. But that's only because we took down the man in the 18th over for 18 runs and essentially put the game back in our court, so to speak. But until that over, I dare anybody to say that they weren't panicking and they weren't fretting, thinking, boy, oh my gosh, how we might lose this game, and so on and so forth.
But yeah, I was looking at it this morning, and then I thought back to it, and I was like, if PNG really had grabbed those opportunities, we wouldn't have won that game, and then there wouldn't have been any CCP right now. But that game is behind us. I'll call names. People called me and Fireball and you and other people negative towards the game. But had that been in Afghanistan or in New Zealand, and we struggled like that in the first match, our World Cup would have been over, in my opinion, because we would have started off on the back foot and then had to win 3 games on the trot to make it out to the group that we're in right now.
Do you know what, Sachin? I need one of the people in the chat who are currently typing saying that you don't know what you're talking about. I need one of them to come onto the show, because we haven't had anyone come on the show yet and basically say, well, that was really good. There's a couple of people in the chat talking the hardest, saying
Jay and Rough Cut.
Yeah. They know who they are. That you lot know who you are. We're outside, you know. You can come on the show. They're talking the hardest, but I dare somebody to come on the show and say, yeah, that was a really good performance. You know, we did really well. And I'm not saying that to take the mick out of you. I'm saying that to say, explain to me, break it down for me, to help me understand why that was really good.
Exactly.
Break it down for me. I'm not saying that, Sachin, to say that you're correct. I'm just saying that to say, break it down for me as to why that was a really good performance, because that's how a couple men are talking the hardest in the chat right now.
Yeah, like, I understand everybody got their own opinions, but you got to look at it as how it was. People said we won that comfortably. People said we had that even when we needed 40 off the last 4 overs. People said that, oh, there's no way we're going to lose that. But I'll bring this point up again. People also said there's no way Netherlands would chase down 374. So now that game is over, my question to you would be, do we look at that as that was our one-off game, like to start the World Cup, or do we make changes to the squad, to the 11, and head into Uganda and try and capitalize on Uganda to get our net run rate up again? Because so far our net run rate is 0.41.
So Santoki made a good point. Bobby, I'm gonna come to your point in a minute. Let me star a couple people, because I think a couple of you people are deluded still. Sachin, Santoki made a good point. yesterday where he said we can't be thinking about net run rate right now. I'm worried about it in the back of my mind, but Santoki's point was actually a valid point. We know what we have to do. We have to win some games. And if net run rate becomes an issue, then let it become an issue later. But that can't be our primary thinking. For those people saying it was a comfortable win, well, as Sachin just said, the net run rate off that comfortable win was 0.44. That doesn't sound like a comfortable win to me. Anyways, whatever. Let me not say people don't understand. Right. So we will know ultimately, Sachin. I think a key point that we have to make here is let's see how New Zealand and Afghanistan deal with Papua New Guinea. I think because I'm not gonna be that guy who says, yeah, it wasn't good, but we were comfortable. Okay, let's see if that's what New Zealand and Afghanistan say after they play them as well, because I think that will be the most instructive thing. Just reiterating the point again to you, Sachin, fundamentally, we need to beat Uganda and we need to beat one of New Zealand or Afghanistan at the bare minimum. But to be fair, we knew that before the tournament started anyway.
Yeah.
So nothing really has changed. What I would say, again, just addressing the people in the chat, so I'm going to just now throw some comments out. Z says we managed the game really well. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like how a top team should do. What on earth? No, Z, come on, man. What's going on here? Now, don't respond to them yet, Sachin. I'm
saying is
bring up some comments.
If South Africa could chase down 70, I know it was a small total, but 78 runs against a Sri Lanka team with 4 overs to spare and only losing 5 wickets, why couldn't West Indies chase down 130 runs and with 3 overs to spare and not losing more than 5 wickets against PNG?
So Z says, what did PNG really do? Well, Z, they had us 97 for 5. What are we saying? What are we saying here? PNG made 137. What are we saying here, people? Other people, I'll just pick some people. So Z, J, this is why I want one of you lot to come on. Rough Cut, who else? Lancelot Emmanuel. Sorry, Sachin, I'm keeping you on. Here's one. J. London says, we can't criticize them when they don't play it safe to guarantee the W, then criticize them when they do play it safe. But Jalon, were they really playing it safe? Do you think they were comfortable? When we were 97 for 5, do you think they were playing it safe? Or do you think Papua New Guinea were actually on top of the game? What are we saying here?
No, we were playing it safe. Rutherford was just getting out so that other guys could have opportunities to bat.
Yeah, I guess that's what playing it safe means. I guess the team had it all under control and, the wickets going down didn't really matter because we were just controlling the game. The wickets just happened to happen. What? Puran was out on a duck. Well, I guess he was playing it safe. What are we actually saying here? Come on, people. It's possible to say the following. Let me try and actually be balanced, people. It's possible to say the following. PNG played much better than we expected them to do. West Indies played much worse than we expected them to do. And at one point in the game, it looked like we might lose. That is the most balanced way of looking at that game. Sorry, I haven't finished. But we got the W, and ultimately, that's all that matters because you have to win in a tournament. There is nothing more that people can say to me that can change my opinion on that. So let me say it again for Rough Cut, for Jay, for the people down the back, for the people at the sides. Listen carefully. Get a piece of paper, and a pen, and write this down. Repeat after me. PNG played much better than we expected them to do. West Indies played much worse than we expected them to do. But fundamentally, we still got the W, and that's all that matters in tournament cricket. But at one point, we weren't safe in the game. Anybody else who says anything outside of that, you are completely and utterly deluded. completely and utterly deluded. But I don't care. I don't care. You're utterly deluded if you're saying something outside of that. Don't listen. You don't know, man. I'll mash up this whole show right now. I'll mash up this whole show. Nah, man.
It's not worth getting into. But my last thing would be I'll watch a Afghanistan game like I'm watching a West Indies game tonight because Uganda is stronger than PNG. I'll say that, and I don't think anybody will disagree with that. But I'll look at the way Afghanistan approaches Uganda and look at how Uganda deals with Afghan spin. And then on Saturday, then we'll see where our tournament heads.
Yeah, exactly. And in fairness, we can't. And this is where I do agree with certain people who are more positive, right? We can't make too much. We can't make too many hot takes off the back of this one game, fundamentally, because actually, after we played Uganda on Sunday, and we've seen Afghanistan and New Zealand play however many of their first few games, I think that's when people can assess and go, okay, this is what we're going to need to have to do against New Zealand. This is how much we're going to have to raise our standards or whatever it might be to play against New Zealand. We'll have a better chance of assessing something. But I think, Sachin, that it's fair to say after one game, without trying to do a hot take, I think it's fair to say after one game, that was not the start to the World Cup we expected.
Yes.
I think that's fair. No matter if you're somebody who's positive, no matter if you're somebody who's slightly on the more negative way of looking at it, that was not the start to the World Cup that anybody who supports West Indies expected.
Yeah, that was, to put it into one word, disappointing.
Yeah, 100%. It was a disappointing performance. We got the W, which is fine, but it was a disappointing performance. But it's a W. Listen, Sachin, I need to move on. There's 4 people left, and I want to make sure they get their chance.
Okay, Mash, take it light.
I am. No worries, cool. Thank you, Sachin. People, it's 1 hour and 20 minutes. See you every week. I say, yeah. So Z says, you lot aren't judging the team based on its quality. We are a mediocre team. Z, can you answer something for me? Were you saying that before the tournament started? Be honest now. Before the tournament started, were you one of the people, I don't know if you were, I'm asking you, were you one of the people who were saying, yeah, we beat South Africa, we beat India, we beat England, we beat them, we beat that? Were you one of those people? Because if you were, how can you now say we're mediocre? Because there was enough people who are probably in this chat right now who was calling off the list of everybody that we beat, saying, yeah, we're the boom side, yeah. All of a sudden now you get Papua New Guinea shoulders. Well, actually, are you really though? Okay. Anyways, let's keep it moving. Who's up next? Fireball Trinity, ready to go. Let's bring him on. Yes, Fireball, what are you saying?
Hello.
This is your chance now.
All right. Sachin, after Sachin is me. Like I said, well, I think it's only me, Sachin, and MJ said we could have lost to PNG. Even you said, no way we're losing to PNG. No way.
Tell him, please. You know what? Please tell him again, because everyone thinks that I wanted West Indies to lose. I said we're not losing to PNG.
Yeah, I'll repeat myself. Mash said we're going to batter these men. I said, even though these men are milkmen and taxi men and accountants, most of them, I don't think they play cricket full-time. League 2 cricket is very brutal. I say these men are weak-minded. Not that they're bad, not that they're terrible. These men are weak-minded. They're good, but they're not skillful enough to get out the holes they almost dug themselves in. And they would get themselves in trouble, and they'd probably embarrass us day one. And it almost happened. I didn't want to be right. Thank God I was right that PSG could have beat us, but thankfully we made it out by the skin of our teeth. Like, Jesus Christ. And I still was angry. It's not like, boy, I expect this to happen, but I was still angry. I was still frustrated. And I'm gonna say, oh gosh, we're gonna get knocked out of the group stage window. I think Afghanistan and New Zealand will be a long game. I'm going New Zealand game. The New Zealand-Afghanistan game are not going to be easy. Some people are saying we could beat Afghanistan. Absolutely not. Afghanistan Champions Trophy, you know. We are not in Champions Trophy. Afghanistan's been in the main stage 20 World Cup last year, 20 World Cup. We haven't been in the main stage since the old generation. Afghanistan could beat us and embarrass us.
What I do want to know is a tournament's a tournament, right? So I'm always perplexed by this stuff. When people make tournament predictions, I always say, yeah, but how do you know? So when people are saying West Indies can make the semi-finals, the reason I kept saying I don't agree with that is because I don't know, like no one knows, right? Yeah. Because of the volatility of T20 cricket, PNG just showed us, because of the volatility of T20 cricket, all you need is a passage of play and anything can switch in a T20 game, right? We just saw against Sri Lanka and South Africa today that there was a passage of play for a moment of time where it was like, wait a minute, South Africa are under pressure here to try chase down 77. In the end, they won by 6 wickets. Anything can switch up quickly in T20 cricket. Because of that, I don't know how people are saying with chest and confidence that West Indies can make it to the semi-finals when we know, as West Indian fans, that we can lose to anybody at any time.
Yeah, I agree with that. One good bowling spell, one good batting innings, and the game could turn on its head. Like, so we should, keyword should, beat Uganda. Do I think we'll beat Uganda? I will not put my head on the block for that. But we should beat
No, Fireball, we're beating Uganda. We're beating Uganda. How confident are you? Give me a percentage confidence.
6.
Wait, 6-0 or 6?
6 out of 10. I'm 6 out of 10 confident.
Right.
We beating Uganda. Barely passing.
So 60% chance of beating Uganda.
If T20 cricket and Uganda could both spin, I'm worried. If even if Afghanistan handled them, doesn't mean we would handle them. 2 games are different. But hopefully we beat Uganda comfortably, so we have the confidence to battle New Zealand and Afghanistan. Hopefully make it out of the group. I know Nick said anything but a semi-final. I'm gonna celebrate. I'm not gonna go up and have the bus parade, but I'll be very happy for us to make the Super 8. That's why I want us to make the Super 8. I don't expect us to make a semi-final.
I've always maintained getting out the group is I would consider that progress. That, and I know there's lots of disagreements from different fans about what is progress and what isn't progress. I would consider getting out the group's progress just because of how badly we've played in the last 2 T20 World Cups. And what I do agree with Neeks on is if we do get out of the group, we need to at least be marginally competitive in the Super 8s. We can't just turn up to the Super 8s, take 3 licks, and then disappear out the tournament. I'd want to see us at least try win 1 game in the Super 8s.
I would be happy if we end up having the result of our ODI Home World Cup when we made like 5th in the Super 8s, like 5th or 6th behind, I think, England. I would take that. I would take 5th or 6th in Super 8s. Beat 1, 2 like established sides. And that'll be my World Cup for me. I would want us to win the World Cup. I wish everybody who's positive here, all right, I want us to win the World Cup. Beautiful, beautiful June for me. But I'm not gonna lie to myself and gas up for these men who let me down, even though my expectations were low. I will try to keep my expectations low and put my hopes high.
Listen, Fireball, I've got a message here from Kevin, who's going to be coming on the show just before it ends. He says he's going to Afghanistan versus New Zealand game on Friday. Do you say you're going to that one?
No, I'm going to New Zealand and West Indies.
Oh, okay. Sorry, okay. So, well, that answers the question, Kevin. But there will be anybody who's from Trinidad and Tobago in this chat. If any of you are going to the games, link up. Come to the Discord and link up. There's there's a Trini contingent in the Discord group, so come link up that way, and you can kind of find out where they all are and so on and so forth. So anyone who's not part of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast Discord, it's a good group to be in because you've got people from all the different nations and islands cussing each other out, oiling man up, all of.
Oh Lord, and you'll get to see me uncensored. I'm currently holding myself down. I'm trying not to use good old Trinidad.
We got one Dominican in the group trying to oil people up, but we just have to let that one pass.
All right.
But listen, Fireball. Listen, I don't know what I'm trying to say now. Uganda. Last question I'll ask you before I go to Sammy. Not Darren Sammy, but Sammy, who's in the chat or in the backstage. Uganda, would you make any changes?
I wrote this down. Let me bring it up real quick. I don't think the changes really matter, to be honest with you. I don't think it'll make much of a difference, to be honest with you. I think bringing Hope, might be doing something. Dropping Hussein or bringing Hetty, I don't think it really matters in the grand scheme of things. That's one of these men to approach game differently, field seriously, play like we're playing Australia in the final. Run their ones and twos, and that's all I ask.
Do you know what? Actually, I'm gonna agree with you on that one. At the bare minimum against Uganda, I want to see us running hard between the wickets. I know.
Big up Hetty on this one. Hetty probably gets blown out a bit quickly, but the man at least runs his ones and twos.
I have to defend Hetty on that. When Hetty comes to the crease, however long or not that he lasts at the wicket, the one thing you can't criticize about Hetty is he's from the jump. He's trying to show some urgency. He's trying to run some twos. Yes, I know he's got the belly and thing, but he's trying to run some twos. He's trying to turn ones into twos. He's trying to run hard. The only other player in our team who I think does that very well is Shea Hope, who shows urgency all the time he's at the wicket. So at the bare minimum against Uganda, turn ones into twos, people. Work the gaps. It doesn't have to be boundary or six or whatever. It can be ones turned into twos and putting pressure on the field that way. So I'm with Fireball on that. I at least need to see that.
All right, yeah. I would love to rant about the IPL, how the IPL is ruining these batsmen in the tournament in general when it comes to the tricky wickets. Well, I'll be here all day. Oh, big up Panda stuff as well. Big up her. And I'm gonna head out there and let you hopefully get to bed early. Well, relatively early.
Yeah, no worries. Cheers, Bible.
Cheers.
Yeah. Sammy, you're up next. So Sammy, Kevin P, and then Billy to end the show. What I will just say before I bring Sammy on is that the match, I was watching bits and pieces. Actually, let me answer this question from Vanetta. I think it was 54 dot balls, Vanetta, in the game against PNG. Somebody will correct me possibly, but I swear it was 54 dot balls. I was watching that South Africa-Sri Lanka game earlier today, and I remarked, I think it was in the Discord group, and I said, the thing is, the pitch was difficult, but it was actually just a test match wicket. And it was really interesting to me to see how many players couldn't adapt to what effectively looked like a test match wicket. So Fireball made that point just then about IPL, and is it that a lot of these players are only used to batting on, or are more used to batting on roads and flat wickets where you tap the ball one time and it's gone flying over the ropes? So is it that when they now have come to the Caribbean and they've come across a pitch or pitches where it's a bit low, it's a bit slow, it's actually testing your battership and it's actually giving an advantage to the bowlers, and now batters from all teams are scrambling, don't know how to play on a difficult track when it's T20 cricket? Who knows? We'll see how the tournament continues. Where's the Afghanistan-Uganda game today? Is it in Trinidad or is it in Uganda, or is it in Guyana? Can someone put in the chat? I don't know where it is, Where's that game? Afghanistan versus Uganda. Which country is it in? Is it in Guyana today? I don't know, Where is that game? It starts in about an hour. Okay, we'll see. So we'll see how Providence plays on the lights for Afghanistan versus Uganda. You lot can stay awake and watch it. I can't watch that game. So the Discord group will have to give me the review. The game starts in about an hour and a half. So by doing this live show, I've kept you lot awake to go and watch that game, but I'm not watching it. Anyways, let's bring on Sammy. Sammy, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. I recently discovered CCP, and I enjoyed the back and forth. Basically, island people. Reminds me of when I was a little child, and my uncles and his friends and my dad, and be talking about cricket. The same thing. So I enjoy, and I think you have to give yourself more credit for the percentage of CCP. I don't know about the Santoki guy. We may have to drop him because I think you're like 80% of CCP. Anyway, that might be a bad joke. Anyway,
it's because Santoki's always flying around the world. That's the problem.
Flying around the world. Oh, promoting CCP. Okay, that makes sense. So, first of all, I'd like to say that I don't find you negative at all. I find you realistic, except your prediction about Uganda. I think you're going to the other extreme. So maybe you need to be a little bit reserved there. Secondly,
hold on, Sammy. First things first. What's your island of origin?
The Federation.
Ah, okay.
You know what that is?
Yeah. That's why I'm intrigued that you gave the answer.
That's why I tell people, because it's kind of homage to the West Indies Federation. So the only thing that's left is the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So I like to say the Federation. Plus, we're one of the smallest. And so when you say the Federation, it doesn't sound like you're that small.
So where are you now, though?
I'm just outside of Washington, D.C. in Fairfax, Virginia.
I can pick up the part. I figured you must be somewhere in the States, but yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
Yeah. So getting back to your realistic, I have evidence that you are realistic in that when you mentioned about Haley Matthews playing with our, the senior men's team, I saw an interview with her, and when she was 15, she would play with the under 19 men. I mean, boys, I guess you could call them, including Archer and a couple of others. So she would have seen pace that was faster than, what the under 19 girls or under 15 girls would have been seeing. So, you're not crazy in mentioning that. The reason why I mentioned that is because I said, oh, Mash is crazy. Well, Haley Mash, but it's not that far, because if at 15 she could face under 19 boys, now, and her technique is so much better than a lot of our men. I mean, seriously, the way she approaches an innings, just overall batting. Anyway, back to the match. I did have they call it a sinking feeling in my stomach around, I don't know, 14, 15, maybe 16, that, oh shit, we might lose this. And it's one thing that came to mind is it looks like, as far as homework is concerned, it looks like PNG did their homework. Whether they look at West Indies play, they have Uncle Phil, all of that stuff. I'm questioning if West Indies did their homework, because while I was waiting, I looked at YouTube and did some Google searches for PNG playing, and there's video that you could look at. And so it looks like West Indies thought that, we could just run through them. We don't have to study what they do. And to me, you don't leave anything to chance in a tournament where you need to win any game. So I would wonder if they did any kind of homework on PNG, and would they be doing anything, homework-wise for Uganda, because video is easy to come by now, and then you could adjust your team, based on that. Secondly, our pitch preparation. I mean, it's our wicket. We should not. That's an advantage that we should have. So whether you need to bring a wicket from somewhere else and put it down in Providence to our advantage, that should be done. I mean, we can't be complaining about our wicket. I mean, I don't see how that argument could be made.
So, do you know, I want to jump in there. So, there's two things I want to jump in off the back of. I think somebody alerted me to a comment the other day where they said that Sammy, or was it Rovman, said at the end of the match, we didn't think PNG were going to play 3 spinners. And when I heard that, if that's true, that's what I was alerted to that. If that is true, somebody in the chat will confirm if I'm correct in saying that. If that's true, I'm shocked, because that backs up your point about homework. What do you mean you didn't think PNG were going to play 3 spinners? We're the West Indies. Uncle Phil is sitting in their dugout. What do you mean that you didn't think they were going to play some spinners, right? And then the second thing, and this is, I didn't say it earlier on, but you bringing up the pitch thing has made me remember it. PNG have not played at Providence before. We have players that have played at Providence how many times in their career, and yet still I've got people saying, oh, but it was a difficult wicket, as if we don't know what's going to happen at Providence. As if we don't know. Who, if you, Sammy, or whether it's me, or whether it's anybody in this chat, every single one of us could say before this match started, Providence is probably going to play low and slow, and you have to be able to manipulate and work into get. Like we've been playing there for years. Why were we approaching it as if we'd never seen Providence play like this before? So that's I find those things concerning.
Yeah, so my concern is planning and preparation, where you look at every little detail and you don't leave anything to chance. You know, that to me should be the attitude. And then the last thing that I wanted to bring up was no, I haven't been into cricket in a long time, and so one of the things that I like about CCP is I learned a lot. But our DNA used to be pace, way back when, West Indies ruled the world in cricket. And I think the fundamental, not the fundamentals, the natural talent is there for us to be, fared from a pace perspective on all formats of the game. I'm not sure if we're developing it, because what we have a lot of now is IPL all-rounders that can bat from, say, 4 to maybe 7, or maybe 3 to 8 if you widen that out. And so if you look at West Indies team, our specialist bowlers, we got 2 that's really just straight on pace bowlers, right?
Yeah.
The 2 Josephs.
Yeah.
Everyone else is some kind of all-arounder, maybe batting, maybe bowling all-rounder, maybe, But I think that having just 2 pace bowlers is not in our DNA. I don't know if we've been not developing that or what, but I would think that if you do a search for, pace bowlers that can go close to 150, then, with control and accuracy and all that stuff, then, you have something to contend with. I was surprised that in the PNG game, we started off with spin. Now, nothing against Hussein, but to me, you come up with a team like that and you do your homework. Do they see 140 mile balls? They probably see spin, but do they see 140 kilometer balls coming at them, or or faster? And to me, that comes back to the home. But I know you have that's basically all I had, and I know you have I'm concerned about your bedtime, and I'd like to defer to the other people that are behind me. So I'll close out for now, and I'll be back on next week. I'm sure the discussions are going to be hot and heavy.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Thanks
Listen,
for
Sammy,
the good work. Yeah.
No worries, man. Thank you so much for the support.
Sure.
And listen, it's every Monday, so
Yeah.
usually around 5-ish US time, depending on which coast you're on, but usually 5-ish. So it's an every Monday thing. We're going to keep it going.
Yeah.
I just want to, before you go, I just want to quickly address that point you made about pace. What I will say, and what's quite interesting, and what backs up your point, is they were saying that on air as well. They were like, well, a lot of these PNG players will never have seen pace that touches 140 plus. You have Shamar, and we have a regular listener of the show, a guy called Osprey, who is a massive associate cricket fan. He said this time last week, West Indies should play Shamar Joseph against PNG because they will not be used to express pace. Well, we came to the match. We didn't play it. We didn't play. So if we don't do it against Uganda, I don't see how you're going to bring Shamar Joseph in the big 2 crunch games against New Zealand and Afghanistan, who will be used to the express pace. So,
well, hopefully they've looked at some games that Uganda play. PNG played Japan and some other team you mentioned. They should have at least look at highlights of the game. If not look at the whole. Really, being their job, it should be somebody's job to actually look and see and try to extract, because PNG had that advantage with Phil Simmons. Without looking at any tape or anything, video or anything, like PNG had that advantage. Simmons knew the wicket. He knew the weakness in able to face spin, and the PNG spin bowling wasn't really outstanding. Like a lot of movement in the ball. So anyway, I'll be back on next Monday, and unfortunately I cut my work early today, so I have to go back to work now.
All right, listen. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully you got some engagement and fun out of this. But see you next Monday, Sammy.
Oh yeah. All right, take care. Bye.
Yeah, take care. Right, Kevin P. Fam, 12 o'clock. Right, let's get straight into it. Kevin P. Sorry, I just wanted to check something, people. Bear with me. Yeah, Kevin P. Right, Kevin, you're up. Let's bring Kevin on. Yes, Kevin, how you doing?
Hey, Mash. I'm good, buddy.
I'm good.
It's hard being a West Indian fan, man. It's hard out here.
What do you want to talk about?
Our tactics, man. Akil Hussain bowled 3 overs for 9, got wicket. He didn't
bowl out.
I think
Did
that was
not
bad.
bowl out.
I was sitting. No, he didn't. Yeah, I was sitting there. Why is he not bowling his last over? And we end up giving away a lot of runs in the back end. 1/3 of 6 was never the total we should have been. We should have allowed them to get. It was very, very poor at the back, the last 5 overs, and I was there. Why is he not bowling his last over? And Moti had kind of a bad day too, which didn't help.
Yes. Evidently. So, who said this point? It might have been Jared Kimber who made this point. I can't remember who made this point, but he said I think it was Jared, and Jared said that it looked like West Indies were treating the game as if they just wanted to give Roston 4 overs. So irrespective of if it was right to go to, I'm not blaming Roston Chase. That's not my point, but it speaks to somewhat of a kind of lackadaisical attitude. It was like, okay, it's only PNG, Roston, you can bowl out, as opposed to turn into the bowlers who. So when PNG were 57 for 4 after 10 overs.
Yep.
At that point, I was watching the game thinking, let's just turn the screw now. They're clearly all over the place. Let's go in for the kill.
Exactly. And I mean, the teams that consistently win and get to the finals, semifinals of these type of tournaments are the ones who, when they have you down, they're putting their feet on your throat. They're crushing you. We allowed PNG to get back into the game and, put up some sort of a score, and I was sitting there, I was telling my friend, we still have to bat on this. If these men get past 120, we are going to struggle. And at the 18th over, at the start of the 18th over, I was still thinking, maybe I should get up and go home, get out of my t-shirt before anyone sees me in case we lose.
I think
it,
if PNG had made 150, I think we lose the game.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think we lose the game. If Puran had been given out, there's even a chance we wouldn't have gone. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we looked very jittery, and it was just that it looked as if it was boundary or nothing. Look at how Brandon King bat. It was boundary or nothing. Puran was trying to swing to Trinidad. Right? He eventually got to 27, but he ate up a lot of dot. Puran came out just before the rain break. All right, it was raining. I guess he wanted to come off, but he was looking to just pat the ball in front of him. He didn't look to get off strike, and there was a lot of that. Even when Rob Powell came in, he looked very casual. It was like this was a Sunday warm up. We just get in the groove for tomorrow or whatever. And we looked very, very casual. And what could have been another upset.
So Brandon King's innings, obviously, I think he top scored with 34 or something, but it was actually his innings was weird because I need to go back and look again, but I feel like there was at least 3 or 4 times when he ran down the wicket and swished at thin air. And if the wicketkeeper had been up to the stumps, he would have been gone. And I was watching it thinking, now don't get me wrong, Brandon also played some glorious cover drives and so on and so forth. But I was watching it thinking,
kept us in the game early on.
Yeah, but because when he was running down the wicket, trying to I don't know, hit one in front of square, was like, what's going on? It almost like it set the tone as to a bit of a scattergun approach. 1 minute we're blocking all the balls, the next we're trying to lick balls away for 6. There was no, I think fundamentally what I'm saying is there was no consistent approach. And that's why I was taking a bit of umbrage to people saying we were comfortable in how we were chasing it. Because I was like, I don't think we were, because there was no real consistency what we were doing in chasing the 137.
That was by no means a comfortable game for us. I mean, when Russell walked in, it was pretty much the game that I thought it was game over. I mean, and he was actually to give him his credit, he was the only one that really looked like he was going after, running hard. He really came in and ran hard, and he played smart cricket too. But he brought impetus, and it was before that it was very, very slow. It was very lackadaisical, and I was sitting in the stand and I was cussing. I was fucking furious,
Yeah.
But I want my $85 back. If you have Darren Sammy's numbers or someone in the team, I want my $85 back.
So which other games are you going to?
New Zealand, Afghanistan on Friday, and then West Indies, Uganda on Saturday.
Okay, so you're seeing a lot of them. You're seeing a lot of the games. So I've asked a few people this throughout the show. What would you like to see change for the Uganda game? Doesn't necessarily mean personnel. It could be tactics. So if you're going to Uganda on Saturday, what is it that you're looking to see to get you back on the vibes for the team?
Yeah, in terms of tactics, we have to be switched on. I mean, we started well, but we lost intensity. And so, and I was looking at Alzaribo. He was fighting with everybody. He was fighting with everybody. But we have to be switched on. We have to play for each other. We have to be switched on for 40 overs if it lasts that long. That's the only way we come out looking good, looking like we should be there. The other thing I would change in terms of personal is anyone who's watched Jonathan Charles play cricket in the Caribbean knows that he never makes runs in Guyana. So I would open again. Horses of courses. Jonathan Charles should be out for Shea Hope in Guyana. I mean, we can go if there's a game in St. Lucia, he can come in, fine. But in Guyana, he does not make runs. So he should not have started.
Do you expect them to do that though?
We are not. West Indian teams have shown that they're not very logical, so I don't expect a change. I think we're going to stick with the 11 and just keep going at it.
Yeah.
But the logical change would be, bring Hope in for Charles. And as a gentleman said just before I came on, we should be looking to really throw the pace at these teams because I don't think they have the experience with with really fast bowling. But I don't think we'll see two changes.
I mean, ultimately, we'll see. We're going to do it. Santoki and I are going to do a video later in the week looking at what we think will happen. My gut feeling, as I'm talking to you now, is that he's going to keep the same team because sometimes, when a team underperforms, what managers or coaches tend to do is you pick the same team again and say, go and do what you were supposed to do rather than making change. But
and I say this, but I am a huge Johnson Charles fan. Even though he's really inconsistent, when Johnson Charles comes off, it looks really spectacular. Nothing against him, but it's just we have to play what's in front of us, and we have to pick an 11 for the conditions.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, Kev, I'm going to go to the last caller of the evening. But you know what? Thank you for sticking around because you were there from the very beginning, waiting to come on. So thank you for sticking around.
But before I go, if we had to play Afghanistan at Providence, they would.
Oh, they'd run circles around us. Absolute,
they will absolutely dominate us.
Absolute rings around us. We have to be so thankful that we're playing that game in St. Lucia, and that don't even guarantee anything. But we just have to be thankful that game is not at Providence.
People forget that they we just can't seem to beat them. So I think we're lucky that way. But yeah.
Anywho, we'll see. Thank you so much, Kevin, for coming on.
Yeah, no worries, buddy. See you around.
Yeah, no problem. Cool. Billy, you're the last caller for the show. Imagine, I said an hour and 13 minutes ago that this show cannot go past 11 o'clock. It's 13 minutes past midnight. I am tired out here. I am tired, people. Lord of mercy. Billy, you're on. Last call of the show, people. Let's get this done.
Hi, Machel. Hi to your listeners. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Wonderful. Now, I'm going to knock you a little bit because in one of your previews before the first match, having given Chase all his props, you went ahead and you dropped him.
Yeah, I did. I was waiting for... You know what, Billy? I'm glad someone's pointed that out. So I think I did a video about 2 weeks ago, I think, saying, does Shea Hope get into the first 11? I said that he shouldn't, and it should be Roston. Then in the week of the first game, I wrote my 11 down, and I just figured that Sammy would just go to his tried and trusted because Shea was in the team before Roston and so on and so forth. But do you know what it tells me, Billy? And having now watched the Uganda, the PNG game, Chase was probably in that game because PNG had, I think, 3 left-handers. So there's an argument to say that Chase didn't actually do his job with the ball. I know he was economical, 4 overs, none for 26, but he didn't actually take any wickets. And I'm fairly certain they picked him with the idea of, well, right-handed off-spinner into left-handers, you should cause these associate men some problems. Now, obviously, he won us the game with the bat, so good. But I don't know if you were in the show at the very beginning. Neeks made this point. We actually have an embarrassment of riches, right? And let me explain. Hetty's on the bench, Shamar's on the bench, Obed is on the bench, and Shea Hope is on the bench. We can all construct teams where every one of those players gets in an 11. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no obvious bench player in our squad. So I think ultimately answering your question, I just assumed they'd go with Shea for the first game because they would have assumed that 5 bowlers versus PNG is enough to win the game. As it was, 6 bowlers versus PNG was nearly not enough to win the game. And if we couldn't, if we struggled to win if we struggled to bowl properly with 6 bowlers versus PNG, I now have to assume that we're going to be going 6 bowlers for the rest of the tournament because I doubt they're going to look at that game and go, right, now let's go back to 5 bowlers. That increases the risk factor, surely. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah. But in doing my assessment, I don't know if you remember when I called you previously, and I listed my squad and I had Chase at 3. I don't know if you remember my call.
I can remember,
And
yeah.
I've always said that Chase have always been underrated. And he's a 3-dimensional cricketer. You know, he bats, he bowls, and he feels well. And he also can add something as a vice captain or even a standing captain, right? Also, let me just finish up with this point. For the next match going forward, I am making a shift in the batting order. I'm also making one change.
Okay, talk to me.
So, because this is T20 cricket, persons have to be flexible and should be able to be fit into certain positions and be adaptable once they have the ability. So, for me, Johnson Charles is out, and he's out not just based on this performance, but I've been looking at his last 2 or so series, and he's very inconsistent. He's like good once every 4 matches. I think you say 1 in 3, I'm going to go 1 in 4.
Yep.
So he's out for the next match, and I'm bringing at the top of the order, I'm putting Rutherford up there. Reason being, I think Rutherford is good. I think he has the ability to play the shots, but I think he's wasted down at number 6, and you have somebody like Shepherd on the bench not batting. I don't want that. So I'm going to take the risk and put him up top. Next thing, Powell does not do well with the spinners coming at the end. I am putting Powell to bat at 3 in the power play to go over the top, attack the fast bowling. And I'm going to put Puran at 5, who's able to bat both fast bowling and spin bowling, and also play his shots down the order. That may take some people as a surprise, but you see, when you're playing these weaker teams in the earlier stage, it's time for you to get the confidence of the guys going, and it's also time for you to do your little experiment and get the right balance. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So and then for the bowling, I'm bringing in Shamar to add some more pace.
Who's coming out for Shamar?
Remember, Charles is out. So Charles out.
Okay. Yeah.
Rutherford goes to the top. Paul comes in at 3. Chase stays at 4. Puran is in at 5. Russell 6. Shepherd 7. Akil can hold a straight bat at 8, and so on. Now, tactically, your previous caller kind of made some of the points I wanted to make. I don't think Paul captained well on the day at all, even though we won the match.
No, he didn't. No.
And I'm going to tell you why. The obvious one is that Akil should not have bowled only 3 overs. It should have been 4. The other one is that we should not have batted first. And
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, agree with me. Great. When you're playing these minnows, so-called minnows, because they are mosquitoes, so I can't use that term anymore, right? But when you're playing these teams in the first round, your job is to bat and put as many runs on the board as possible. Then you try to get them out as little as possible in order to have a good net run rate. Because if your opponent beat them beautifully and get a good net run rate, and you and them finish on the same points, then they're going to go forward and you're going to get left behind. So in the initial stage, you're not only looking at points, you have to be sensitive towards your net run rate. Right? So that's my 2 cents on that. I'm not going to hold because I know it's after midnight and I want to go to sleep. So
hold on. No, but we're gonna, even though I do want to go to sleep, let me continue on that point, because Fireball and a few others in the chat have said, but there was the threat of rain. That's why we wanted to go second. But there's an argument I wanted to make about this. Sorry, this was a point, right? When the issue with rain is factual, like there was rain and maybe that affected what they thought about what they should do and so on and so forth. But it begs the question to me, how did they read the pitch? So, for example, did they read that pitch completely incorrectly? And what I mean by that, Billy, is where was the analysis or assessment that this pitch could get harder to bat on as time goes on? Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yes.
Evidently, nobody read the pitch like that, because if they had read the pitch like that, you wouldn't choose to bat second. Irrespective of rain, you're not choosing to bat second, right? You're choosing to go first, make big runs, and then say, well, boy, this pitch is going to get a bit lower. It's going to get a bit more tacky and slower. We'll bowl second because PNG won't be able to cope batting second. So I do wonder I do wonder if we just read it all wrong from the very start of the match and were too preoccupied with rain rather than looking at, well, what's the pitch actually saying? I could be wrong. It's just a theory I've got.
What I look at is, having been people of local knowledge, being based in Guyana, having so many Guyanese players in the team, Guyanese consultants around, we prepare the pitch. We would have an understanding of the rain patterns in Guyana, even though you can't predict the rain. We were the one who had all the aces to make the right decision. So I cannot accept that we can, a team that is coming from way, don't know the condition, comes in and read the pitch situation better than we did. I just don't think that we're ever turned on tactically on the day. And I do believe we take a few things for granted because we should have bowled them out for not at least, for maximum, I'll say 110, stretching it.
I was going to say 110 at the very, very most.
Very, very highest. And we should not let off within 12 overs, right? Again, to get that run rate going, because you have to win these 2 games heavily in your favor. Right. So that's my 2 cents. I just want to throw in that Shea should go to England, but we'll talk about that when that time comes.
Oh, listen, okay. Remind me of that one. When it time for the test tour, remind me of that one.
Definitely, I'll call and I'll have a talk about it. All right, big up yourself.
All right, then. Listen, Billy, thank you so much for coming on, yeah?
All right, cool. Take care.
All right, then. No problem. Thank you. Listen, Billy made some good points there, Billy made some good points. Listen, this is why as much as it kills me to stay awake for so long, it's why I like doing the live call-in shows, because there's an array of people from all around the region. This show isn't for sensationalism. It's not for people to rant and rave and cuss and get on bad. Like, people have got good, honest points that they want to make about West Indies cricket. And do you know what? The one thing that I would say, this is I'm closing the show, people. The one thing I would say is that everybody, even if we disagree with one another, everybody has one thing in common. We all passionately want West Indies to do well. We had Josh De Silva in the chat earlier on. Shimron Hetmeyer, I think that was actually Shimron, by the way, people. Shimron Hetmeyer was in the chat earlier on. I advised him not to come on. I'm sure I'm going to get, when I finally bother to check my phone, I bet I've got a message saying something, but I'll check it later. So listen, this is people just wanting to chat about their passion for West Indies cricket, and never get it twisted, people. Listen, we got Uganda on Saturday. I kept saying Sunday. The reason I kept saying Sunday, people, is because by the time it starts UK, it's like 1:30 in the morning in the UK. So everyone's rallying at the end of the day. We all want West Indies to do well. We all want West Indies to win and get out of this group and have a good tournament, and so on and so forth. But we also all have the right to say what we want to say, sometimes cuss, sometimes celebrate, and most importantly of all, come together as a community and just talk West Indies cricket. Before we go, there was a couple of super chats which I didn't put on the screen because people are still talking. I didn't want to distract from that. So Athena, thank you. Athena, long-time listener, support of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Thank you so much for the super chat. I didn't ignore it. Do you know what, Athena? I always see your points that you make in like the comment section of videos, and I'm always thinking you're making some really valid points there. You should you should come on one day. So thank you for the super chat. And Sachin, the agitator, Sachin says Hetty plays next game because he is the GOAT. Indeed he is. Indeed he is, Sachin. Thank you for the super chat as well. Listen, ladies and gents, that's it. 2 hours and 8 minutes. Imagine 2 hours and 8 minutes for today's live show. What's coming for the rest of this week? Obviously, there's World Cup games going on. Santoki and I are doing a video later this week looking at the 11 that should play against Uganda. And what else are we doing? I think we're both going to watch Surrey versus Sussex. That's on Friday. There's a T20 game between Surrey and Sussex. So we're going to try to do some filming at that game. So look out for various stuff, people. Tired out here because I've been Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. You can support us at www.patreon.com/Carib Cricket. If you want to support the movement, as little as $1, £1, £1 rupee, whatever your currency is per month, you can support CCP that way. But at the bare minimum, if you can't, because times are hard, cost of living and all that, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, website www.caribbeancricketpodcast.com, TikTok, Patreon, everything. Just type in Caribbean Cricket Podcast into Google and something will come up. And on your way out, like the video, share the video, subscribe, etc., etc. I'll be Machel. I'll be Machel St. Patrick here. Do you know what? Actually, sorry, Allenson. Where is it? Was that comment? Do you know what, Allenson? What I do is I send the link right at the beginning of the video, and then usually I send it a second time of the show. Sorry. What I should probably do is link it at the top of the chat. I'll do that next week. Anyway, so I'm Machel St. Patrick here, one half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. As ever, people, thank you for joining in, and I'll see you very soon.
We rule the cricket world. Now the rules.
Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans.